I think he's 19 years old, and he one time posted that he wanted to come out to the world. And everybody on Brookhead responded and said, "Oh, no, you're not ready. You're too young." And he was talking about, when I grow up, I'm going to be a politician. And they were all saying, "No, don't come out." So I took another tack, and I invited him to come to the ASAP workshop. And he was eager and willing and ready to come. But in the end, he didn't come. He couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford the plane ticket, whatever. So we're going to talk a little bit about coming out. What does a pedophile look like? Do I look like a pedophile? How many of you think I look like a pedophile?
Supposed to do the anonymous survey with that.
Okay. My grandfather was a pedophile. Now, when I share this on VerPed, they say, no, I don't think they were pedophiles. They were abusers. So let me rephrase it. My grandfather sexually abused my mother, and I think at least one of his sisters, my mother's father. My father's mother was known on the streets of Eugene to be one that invited the little boys into her house and did things with them. So I think that she was a pedophile. I only learned that recently. I know for a fact that my father sexually abused several of my sisters, nearly all of them, one of which is Elaine. Thank you for sharing your story. So you already know that about me. Is pedophilia inherited? I don't know. But whatever inheritance I got from my ancestors, my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, passed on to me through the genes, I think was initialized by experiences I had as a young person when I was 6. Some of my family may not even know this. When I was about 6, my two of my older sisters taught me to play go to sleep. And my understanding was that I was to take their panties off and get them ready to go to sleep. And I don't think it was abuse. I don't think it was harmful to me, but it left me with the impression that little girls want to be touched by boys. When I was about 12 years old, I spent a summer with my cousins, and there was some sexual games that went on there. Again, professionals say it's not necessarily abusive unless there's a 5-year age difference. So both of these girls were 5 years younger. I was 12, I think. One of them was 7. I think one of them was 5, although they remembered a little differently. Basically, their brother taught them to play doctor, taught me to play doctor with them, exposed me to that. When I got home, one of my sisters told me that she would beat me up if I ever did anything like that again. I knew that it was wrong, but frankly, in the 50s, everybody I knew was sexually attracted. Every male I knew was sexually attracted to children, little girls. Is that true or not? I don't know. People say, well, it was just your family. I don't know, but I've talked to dozens, hundreds of other people who had the same experience. I had a girlfriend that I dated in college. She told me that she was sexually abused. We came in contact recently and had some interesting conversations. My wife, when I married, told her about what had happened with my cousins, and she said, yeah, well, my uncle did something to me. I don't know if it was everywhere, but in those days it sure seemed like it to me, so it seemed very normal. The word pedophile hadn't even been invented, to my knowledge, in the 50s, although somebody says it was around. But I never called myself a pedophile, but for 50 years, more than 50 years, I've been sexually attracted to little girls. I choose not to act on it. I'm not exclusive, so it's pretty easy for me to pretend I was, a regular, normal adult male and got married. And for 25 years, my first marriage, things went along fairly normally. I knew I was attracted to little girls. Maybe I was a little close. Maybe I hugged them too tight. Maybe I did something that I shouldn't have done, but I didn't. I've never penetrated a child. I've never, what I would call, had sex with a child. I haven't had any sexual interaction. So I choose not to do that, but I struggle with it, and I had nobody to talk to. I bore it all alone. And so then I was single again in the late 90s, 97, 99. I spent some time out in the South Pacific, a lot of little girls running around naked there in Kiribati. And I struggled with it, and I came back and talked to a counselor that I'd been seeing to try to get my act together while I was single, and told her I was attracted to a little girl. She said, no, I can't deal with that. I will never see you again. And so she abandoned me without a referral. Hey, you guys weren't here yet. There's probably nobody out there for her to send me to. So I was at more risk during that time than I ever have been, because I felt so hopeless, like a ticking time bomb, ready to. But life went on, and Tabitha and I got married, met on Christian singles dating, built a log cabin down in Chiloquin, built some rooms upstairs for our grandchildren to come and visit us. I have 3 children, 10 grandchildren. I've never had any problems with my children or grandchildren. Sometimes it's either incestuous or not incest. To me, it's like the Westermark effect that some of you have heard has more to do with siblings, but I think it applies to me too, because I cared for these babies when they were little. First time I remember changing my daughter's diaper, oh, am I going to touch her or something? But I made a decision right there that that was not going to happen. But anyway, life went on, children, grandchildren. Now we decided, they didn't come to visit us, so we decided to have foster children. Well, why didn't I tell my wife that I'd struggle with it? Well, I didn't feel like coming out, so we had foster children. Things went fairly well. Had a 10-year-old girl and a couple little 2-year-olds. But 3 years after they left for other reasons. We moved on to a restaurant and other things. The girl who had been 10 developed false memories. Now you tell me, I mean, society says children never lie about sexual abuse. But here the Oregon State Police show up on our door one day and say, do you know why I'm here? No. So anyway, they proceed to tell me that this girl had disclosed that I lay on the bed naked with her. So that never happened. And they said, well, she said that you put your penis inside of her. I said, that never happened. They said, well, will you do a polygraph? I said, sure. So I contacted a lawyer during the intervening time. This was like 2 days before Christmas, 2010. So I said, the attorney said, oh, don't do their polygraph. So I called them up and said, I'm not going to do your polygraph. And they kind of were expecting that, because that's what lawyers tell them not to do, because they're going to find something you did wrong. They're going to do something. So you say, well, maybe it's out there. Maybe they're going to come and arrest you. Maybe they're right here at the door today. I know that that's not happening, because I know that that did not happen. And sure, she could, falsely accuse me, and something could come of it, but I don't think it's going to, because I'm actually become close friends with the district attorney. I mean, she knows who we are. She knows what we're doing with this. So as a result of that experience, I came out to Tabitha and told her, I didn't do it, but this is where I'm at. I'm attracted to kids. So she encouraged me to become a licensed professional counselor. And so I promptly went online, because I didn't want to go away to school. We lived down in Southern Oregon in Chiloquin, and so I went to Walden University, master's degree in mental health counseling, and almost completed it when I was at a residency right here in Portland. Now, the week before I had come to this very building, those rooms over there were about 50 people. I mean, it was full, whatever that room holds. The room was packed. And Steve Jensen, Corey Jewel Jensen were there. They're become good friends of mine. But anyway, the next week I was at the residency, downtown Portland, and the group, we had small groups of students. They want to kind of eyeball you and see if you're crazy. So, got together with these students, and the instructor, who happens to live right over here in Lake Oswego, Dr. Capuzzi. His wife's name is Susie. So Susie Capuzzi. Anyway, he said, I want you guys to share something you're really dealing with. And when it came my turn, I said, well, if I shared what I'm dealing with, you folks would all reject me. And went around the circle a bit, and a girl came back and said, we wouldn't reject you. I'm upset that you said that. And so I said, well, I'm sexually attracted to children, and they all rejected me. And actually, the students were pretty good about it. But after that, I went to a table where they were all sitting. I think we were having a meal or something. And it was like, nobody talk to me. They don't know what to say. This is scary. So I was at another session a couple hours later talking about suicide, and Dr. Capuzzi comes walking up. And I think, he gets it. He understands. I'm suicidal because I've come out and now everybody hates me. And instead he comes and he didn't say one word to me after that. He said, come with me. So he took me in before the council, the administrative council, and they promptly said, you've got to leave the premises right now. Get out of here today. And so I left, and they said, you can complete it. First, they promised me they'd do some re-education programs to reprogram my mind, but then they backed out on that. And by January, they dismissed me from the university. So I had this book in hand that I'd just gotten. And this was on October 31. On November 2, within a couple days, they changed the book. I think it was because of me. Because I came out and said, you know, I have the sexual orientation. So we did sue Walden University for dismissing me based solely on my sexual orientation. We lost the case because they can lie if they want, because in the student handbook they have a little disclaimer that says this doesn't create a contract. So even though we publish a non-discriminatory policy, we can discriminate. But it's not a sexual orientation because the DSM changed it. So anyway, that's my story. Any questions? So then I got involved in all this ASAP, so that's why I have a little bit of a personal interest in helping people. Are you ready to throw rotten tomatoes at me? I'm especially sensitive with my dear friend Simone.
Absolutely not.
Any questions, comments?
Just a comment. That's a torturous path. It really is. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for coming. I wish there were hundreds of us. Now we're going to let Tabitha share what it was like for her from her perspective. And if we have family members here, people with pedophilia, you can ask her or ask Elaine. She didn't even get it. I told her, and then later on I said, you know, I'm sexually, you never told me that. So she didn't hear it the first time.